Photoshop CS4 comes in two different flavors. There's the standard version and there's the extended version. The difference between the two is the extended version has 3D capabilities, it's got animation tools, it's also got analysis and scientific tools for, medical and crime scene and forensics type of work. So if you fall into that realm, you might want to go with the extended version, but the standard version has everything that you're probably used to seeing. All right. In this video here, I just kind of wanted to go over just an overview of a couple of the things that you'll find in the new extended version. Most of it's related to 3D here. So you can actually go into Bridge, and there's a file for this lesson. You can open that file up here. And let me go ahead. I'm going to create a new layer just to show you something, and then I'll show you even how you can use it better. But if you go up to the 3D menu, which now 3D has its own menu, it did not used to, you'll see there's an option here, new shape from layer, and I can create any one of these, what they call primitive objects. Even if you wanted a very simple object, you had to have a real 3D model, and you had to go download one or have the 3D software to be able to create one. But now at least you can create the primitives here inside of Photoshop. You'll see it created a sphere for me, and here's the little 3D layer. But I'm going to drag that to the trash. What's even cooler is you can take any regular layer here, and you can go up to the 3D menu, go down to new shape from layer here, and turn it into one of these primitive objects, and it's going to wrap whatever texture or whatever object you had around that image. And then in the toolbox, you'll see some dedicated 3D tools. So here's the rotate tool, and I can come in here and rotate this guy around, do some pretty neat things. Now you also have a dedicated 3D palette. Okay, go up to the window menu, go down to 3D, and that's going to open up the 3D palette for you. And this is actually pretty big because it's got control over things that you did not have control over inside of the 3D abilities inside of CS2, or inside of CS3, I should say. All right, so take a look up at the top here. You can work with your whole scene. You can filter by the meshes. You've got your materials. You've got your lighting. If this sounds Greek to you, then you're really not used to working with 3D. But it's actually not. It's pretty. I don't want to say totally intuitive, but you don't have to be a 3D professional to figure it all out. I am not by any means. And I can go in here and I can start to play around with these tools and figure some stuff out. All right, so you did not used to have all these abilities to see these different parts of your 3D object. So in this example here, I can actually go to the bottom of the palette here, and I can add a brand new light. Lighting, we did not have lighting controls like this inside of CS3. And this is important because that's what 3D is all about. I mean, it is all about lighting. And then I can take all these tools you see on the left-hand side here, and I can move my lights around. I can reposition them. See, I've got a spotlight here. I can drag in, and that really makes it a spotlight, or pull it out, and I can make it softer and move it around. I can move it in back. All kinds of neat things here. Okay, and then once you get in there, then you can actually start to go into the other properties that you get inside of this dialog box, like materials. And I can change the glossiness and the shininess of the object, and the opacity and the reflectivity. Lots of different things inside here. The lighting, see here, I can create the softness. I can add to that. I can add shadows to it. There's a hot spot and the fall off. All these different things, all these different properties about 3D and lighting that you just did not have control over before. You can also come down to this little lighting icon at the bottom of the 3D panel. All right, and you can toggle your lights on, which means that you can see them. And that's pretty useful because it's allowing you to see, where you're casting light on. And again, these are just usability enhancements that make 3D more powerful inside of Photoshop. And then one of the other things, and this is huge for 3D professionals, and that is the ability to paint on the 3D object with your painting tools. So now I can literally take my brush, and if I wanted to just come in here and shade this more, I can actually take my black brush and I can start to paint on here. Now, I obviously don't want to do that, but I can drop my opacity. You have all the controls that you're used to having with your brushes. You can now do all these different things and paint onto your 3D objects. Okay, so pretty big stuff here. Heck, you can even make a selection, and you can fill that selection on your 3D object, and you'll see here that as I take my rotate tools, notice how that spot rotates around. Okay, so all of that stuff, even though you're painting and it looks like it's almost happening onto a flat object, it still really is on the 3D object. All right, don't forget now, nothing really earth-shattering here, but the analysis tools that we had in CS3 are carried over into CS4. And the other thing is, and I'm not going to really go into it because it would make for a huge video, but there's animation. Okay, we had animation tools inside of CS3. CS4 stepped it up a notch. You can now preview and export audio from within Photoshop, which you couldn't do with CS3. And there's also keyboard shortcuts, and video professionals are going to appreciate this. So if you're not a video professional, you're like, big deal. But there's keyboard shortcuts for navigating through frames inside of your video. And that's a big deal for any video professional, because video pros especially, it's all about keyboard shortcuts, and it's all about being able to navigate around that video. So they will definitely appreciate it. And I'll finally leave you here with, if you want to find out more about this stuff, make sure you go to kelbytraining.com. Corey Barker is kind of our resident in-house guru on Photoshop Extended. He's the guru on video stuff, animations, and 3D stuff. So make sure you check on that website for courses from Corey relating to Photoshop Extended, video and animation, and 3D, because he surely will have them up there.